Elena Darrow's life seemed to have stalled. Work felt uninspired, and her meditation practice, once a source of peace, now left her restless. Could something as simple as the placement of a plant be the root of her problems? When her spiritual mentor Samuel suggests her beloved snake plant might be blocking the flow of abundance, Elena is left with one unsettling question. Could her carefully chosen decor be silently disrupting her prosperity? Determined to find the truth, Elena begins a journey of spiritual realignment. With guidance from Samuel and support from her friend Jade, she explores the ancient principles of energy alignment and the subtle power of intention. But as Elena attempts to reposition the snake plant in her home, she discovers that realigning her environment might demand something deeper, a shift within herself. Will adjusting her surroundings unlock a flow of abundance she's been longing for? Are you ready to follow Elena as she uncovers hidden wisdom and reclaims the harmony and prosperity waiting just beyond her front door? Let's get started. Elena Darrow paced around her living room, feeling an uneasy weight she couldn't quite place. How could a space once filled with peace now feel so stifling? Each day brought more signs: creative blocks, missed opportunities, restless nights. Could this be a reflection of something deeper? Her mentor, Samuel Rye, had recently hinted at an answer. Perhaps your snake plant isn't where it should be, he'd suggested. Elena had laughed it off, but now the idea clung to her thoughts like a shadow. Get ready to follow Elena as she uncovers hidden wisdom and reclaims the harmony and prosperity waiting just beyond her front door. Let's start. What if her beloved snake plant was holding her back? It seemed absurd, almost laughable, to think that a simple plant could be responsible for her struggles. And yet, the more she reflected on Samuel's words, the more unsettled she felt. Could there be truth in this ancient wisdom? Gabrielle Bernstein once said, "Wherever energy flows, attention grows." If her attention was stuck on problems, was there an unseen barrier in her environment reinforcing it? Elena found herself staring at the snake plant in the corner, its tall leaves standing firm and sharp. The plant had always symbolized resilience to her, an anchor in her home. But now, she couldn't shake the feeling that it was out of place. Is this a sign? She wondered aloud, her voice tinged with skepticism. Samuel's words echoed in her mind. Even the strongest symbols can become barriers if placed without intention. Was this plant inadvertently blocking her prosperity? That evening, she invited her friend Jade over, seeking another perspective. "Do you think it's crazy to believe a plant could be holding me back?" Elena asked, her tone half serious. Jade raised an eyebrow. "Not if you're open to it," she replied. "Plants are energy conduits, aren't they? They can influence a room's energy flow." Jade's openness to the idea was unsettling, yet reassuring. "Maybe it's not about the plant," Jade continued. "Maybe it's about what you're not seeing." Jade's words lingered, turning over in Elena's mind. What wasn't she seeing? Deepak Chopra often spoke of how subtle energies, if ignored, could accumulate and create resistance. Could her environment be subtly reflecting her inner chaos? Elena's thoughts kept circling back to the snake plant. It was a symbol of resilience, yes, but what if it had become a silent gatekeeper, blocking her path to abundance? The question felt heavy, like the weight of an unseen door. When Elena next met with Samuel, she brought up the plant again, this time with genuine concern. "Is it really possible that something like this could affect me so deeply?" she asked. Samuel's eyes softened, his voice gentle. "It's not about the plant itself," he said. "It's about the intention behind its placement. Energy flows where intention goes. If something feels off, it might be a sign to realign." His words felt like puzzle pieces falling into place. As she left the cafe, Elena felt a quiet sense of urgency. Could a shift in placement shift her life? Eckhart Tolle often spoke of the present moment as a portal to deeper understanding. What if this restlessness was a doorway, urging her to see what was right in front of her? The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Was she ready to confront the possibility that something as simple as a plant could hold the key to her blocked abundance? Elena returned home, determined to experiment. She approached the snake plant, hesitating. "What are you holding back?" she whispered, almost as if speaking to an old friend. Moving the plant felt momentous, a physical representation of an internal shift. As she gently lifted it, she imagined the stagnant energy breaking free, like a river carving a new path. Could this be the beginning of something new? With a deep breath, she set the plant in its new place and waited. Elena couldn't shake the nagging question. Was the placement of her beloved snake plant really blocking her prosperity? The idea lingered, like a whisper echoing through her thoughts. Could something so simple affect her life so profoundly? Samuel's gentle yet piercing words kept replaying. Even the strongest symbols can become barriers if they're not aligned with your intentions. Was her home meant to be a sanctuary, unintentionally creating resistance instead of allowing abundance to flow? Curiosity took over as Elena sought clarity from Samuel. "Do you really believe a plant could block energy?" she asked, her tone a mix of skepticism and genuine curiosity. Samuel smiled knowingly. "It's not just the plant, Elena, it's the intention behind its placement," he said softly. In Feng Shui and Buddhist teachings, symbols are powerful. They hold and channel energy, but if they're positioned without mindfulness, they can inadvertently create obstacles. Elena leaned in, intrigued. "So you're saying my snake plant, which I've always thought of as a symbol of strength, could actually be holding me back?" she asked, trying to piece it together. Samuel nodded, his voice steady. "Think of your home as a reflection of your inner world. If there's something off in your space, it could be echoing a deeper misalignment within yourself. What might your snake plant be echoing back to you?" His question hung in the air, heavy with implications. As Elena returned home, she looked around with fresh eyes. Could the things she cherished in her space be subtly reinforcing her limitations? The question unsettled her, stirring doubt. Deepak Chopra often spoke about energy as a mirror for our subconscious beliefs. Could this plant, a symbol of resilience, have transformed into an unintended barrier? Her thoughts raced with uncertainty. How had she not seen it before? What other aspects of her life were she overlooking? Seeking a second opinion, Elena invited Jade over. "Samuel thinks my snake plant might be blocking energy," she confessed, half laughing to hide her growing concern. Jade's eyes widened with curiosity. "Well, it's not entirely out there," Jade replied thoughtfully. "Plants carry energy, just like people and objects. If their placement disrupts a flow, it could create subtle blockages." Jade's openness reassured Elena. Was it possible she had underestimated the power of intention in her space? Jade walked through the rooms, studying Elena's setup. "This corner," she said, pointing to the snake plant, "feels heavy. Have you noticed any stagnation here?" Elena hesitated. "Now that you mention it, this is where I always feel blocked," she admitted, her voice laced with uncertainty. Jade smiled knowingly. "Maybe it's time to trust your instincts and try something different," she suggested. Elena felt a flicker of hope mixed with apprehension. Could a small shift lead to a big change? That night, as Elena sat in silence, she remembered Gabrielle Bernstein's teachings on alignment. "Where focus goes, energy flows," Bernstein often said. Was her focus trapped in these old patterns and placements, reinforcing them without realizing it? Elena visualized the energy in her home like water. Where was it flowing freely? Where was it pooling and growing stagnant? The image made her heart race. Was her plant creating energetic dams instead of channels? The next morning, Elena made a decision. She approached the snake plant with a mix of caution and anticipation. "Maybe it's time for a change," she murmured, almost to herself. Moving the plant felt like more than just a physical shift. It felt like a declaration, a willingness to let go of what no longer served her. Could this one small act really make a difference? As she gently lifted the plant, she couldn't help but wonder, what else in her life needed to be repositioned? Elena couldn't ignore the subtle shift she felt after moving the snake plant. Was it just her imagination, or had something truly changed? Each morning, she'd glance at its new position and feel a quiet sense of relief, like a weight lifting from her chest. "It's not just about the plant," Samuel had said, "but about aligning your intentions." Elena's curiosity grew. What else in her home was reinforcing her old patterns? What else needed to be realigned? Driven by a need for answers, Elena dived into research. She read about Feng Shui principles and Buddhist teachings on energy alignment. Could her home's energy flow be mirroring her internal state? Deepak Chopra described this phenomenon as a subtle resonance, where one's environment echoes inner thoughts and intentions. As she reflected on her home, Elena saw not just a collection of objects, but symbols of her beliefs, habits, and fears. What messages were they sending? One evening while reading, Elena stumbled upon a passage that caught her attention. The placement of objects reflects your relationship with the world. To change your reality, first, change your surroundings. The words seemed almost prophetic. Was this the sign she'd been waiting for? She knew she couldn't continue ignoring her doubts. She needed clarity, and clarity required action. But what would realignment really entail? Could changing her space truly shift her inner landscape? Seeking guidance, she invited Jade over once again. I've been thinking a lot about alignment, Elena confessed, her voice contemplative. How our homes mirror our inner state. Jade nodded, intrigued. What's changed for you since moving the snake plant? She asked. Elena paused, considering. I feel lighter, clearer, she replied, almost surprised at her own words. But I also realize there's more to address, more areas that need realignment. Jade smiled. Then let's explore. Together, they walked through each room, taking note of the spaces that felt heavy or neglected. Jade pointed out areas of clutter and disorganization. What do these corners represent to you? Jade asked, her voice gentle yet probing. Elena hesitated, then replied, unfinished projects, unresolved feelings, old fears. Her answer surprised even her. Was this why she felt blocked in those spaces? Was the physical clutter reinforcing emotional chaos? Jade's encouragement helped Elena see her home through new eyes. She began to identify objects that felt out of alignment with her current intentions. As she moved through her home, clearing clutter and rearranging symbols, she felt an unexpected sense of relief. Gabrielle Bernstein often emphasized the importance of consciously creating spaces that reflect one's aspirations. Was this what Elena had been missing? A deliberate intention in every corner of her life? Elena decided to focus on the wealth corner of her home, where the snake plant had once stood. If energy flows where attention goes, then I need to infuse this space with new intention, she thought. She cleared out old papers, rearranged furniture, and chose symbols that resonated with abundance and growth. She visualized the energy shifting, flowing freely like a river. Was this the breakthrough she had been seeking all along? After completing her adjustments, Elena sat down in her meditation corner, now free of clutter and distractions. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, feeling the energy in her space. I am creating alignment, she whispered, her words an affirmation of her commitment. Deepak Chopra often spoke of the power of conscious awareness in shaping reality. Could this new awareness be the key to unlocking the flow of abundance? Elena didn't have all the answers, but for the first time, she felt ready to find them. Elena stood before her newly rearranged space, wondering if this subtle change could truly transform her life. Could moving a plant, clearing a corner, and setting intentions really have such an impact? The idea seemed too simple to be true, yet something within her felt quietly assured. Deepak Chopra often said, every choice you make, every breath you take, shapes the energy around you. What if this choice could open a door she hadn't known was closed? As the days passed, Elena observed the snake plant in its new location, trying to sense the energy it radiated. It seemed content, thriving even. Could it be reflecting her own renewed sense of purpose? She began to question her previous resistance. What else in her life had she held on to out of habit without ever questioning its purpose? Eckhart Tolle's teachings on presence resurfaced. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. One evening, she called Samuel, seeking reassurance. How can I know if this is really working? She asked, her voice laced with doubt. Samuel's calm response was almost a whisper. It's not about immediate results, Elena. It's about subtle shifts in perception. Are you seeing your home differently now? Elena thought about this, realizing that she was. She saw her home not just as a collection of objects, but as a living reflection of her journey. Could this new vision be enough to create change? Intention is everything, Samuel continued, his voice steady. Moving the snake plant isn't about the plant itself. It's about your willingness to realign with your goals. When you act with intention, you open yourself to new possibilities. His words echoed in her mind long after the call ended. Had she been ignoring the power of her own intentions? Had she been living passively, hoping change would come without her active participation? The following morning, Elena sat quietly in her meditation corner, watching the sunlight spill over the leaves of the snake plant. Its green hues seemed to soften in the gentle light, radiating a calmness that mirrored her own thoughts. She began to focus on her breath, grounding herself in the present. Gabrielle Bernstein often emphasized the power of visualization. Elena decided to visualize her intentions as energy flowing freely through her home, guided by the shifts she had made. As the days turned into weeks, Elena felt subtle yet noticeable changes. Her thoughts felt clearer, her creativity more fluid, and her energy less heavy. Could this really be the result of something so simple? She found herself reflecting on Jade's words. It's not about what you move, but why you move it. Elena realized that the act of moving the snake plant was symbolic of her willingness to release old patterns. What other areas of her life needed a similar shift? Jade visited again, eager to hear about Elena's progress. "How does the new setup feel?" Jade asked, her voice full of curiosity. Elena smiled. "It feels right," she replied, "like something has finally clicked into place." Jade studied the snake plant, nodding thoughtfully. "It's thriving," she said. "It's like the plant itself has released something, just as you have." Her words were simple, but they struck a deep chord within Elena. Could the plant's growth mirror her own? That evening, as Elena sat in silence, she couldn't help but feel grateful for the journey she had embarked on. Moving the snake plant had been a delicate shift, a small change with profound implications. Eckhart Tolle often spoke of the power of presence, of being fully aware of each moment. Elena realized that this shift was not just about realigning her space, but about becoming fully present in her own life. Was this the true key to unlocking abundance? The days after moving the snake plant were marked by a quiet transformation in Elena's life. She found herself feeling lighter, more energized, as if an invisible barrier had finally lifted. Could something as small as a shift in placement create such a difference? Elena recalled Deepak Chopra's words, "The energy of the mind is the essence of life." Was it possible that moving the snake plant had not only changed her environment, but also realigned her thoughts? As she embraced this newfound clarity, Elena began to notice opportunities she had previously overlooked. Her work, once stagnant, now seemed to flow with renewed creativity. Her conversations felt more meaningful, her thoughts less cluttered. It was as if a fog had lifted, allowing her to see her path more clearly. Could this really be because of a plant? She wondered, half skeptical, half hopeful. The question lingered, growing more compelling with each passing day. One afternoon, Samuel visited her home, curious to witness the changes. He stood silently in her living room, taking in the space with a quiet smile. "The energy feels different," he remarked, his voice low and approving. Elena felt a surge of relief. "So, it wasn't all in my head?" she asked, almost shyly. Samuel shook his head. "Not at all. But remember, alignment is both external and internal. The shifts you've made in your home are reflections of shifts within you." Elena felt a pang of understanding. Could it be that the external changes she made were merely catalysts for deeper internal transformations? Samuel's voice interrupted her thoughts. "Physical shifts can open the door," he said, "but it's your internal alignment that sustains the change. Have you been paying attention to your intentions?" His question was a gentle reminder that this journey wasn't just about moving objects, but about embracing mindfulness. After Samuel left, Elena spent the evening reflecting on his words. What were her true intentions? What was she aligning herself with? Gabrielle Bernstein often spoke of the importance of consciously choosing one's focus. Elena realized that her initial intention had been vague. She simply wanted to unblock abundance. But what did that really mean? What did truly desire beyond financial prosperity? The answers seemed both obvious and elusive, shimmering just beyond reach. Elena decided to approach the snake plant, this time with more intention. She placed her hands on its leaves, feeling their cool texture beneath her fingertips. "Thank you for being a symbol of resilience," she whispered, almost as a prayer. She visualized her intentions, clarity, peace, growth, radiating from the plant and filling the room. Could this simple act of gratitude and intention create a ripple effect in her life? The thought was both humbling and empowering. The following week, Elena noticed even more changes. New opportunities emerged at work, her finances showed signs of improvement, and her relationships felt more open and authentic. It was as if the energy that had once been blocked was now flowing freely. Could this be the true power of alignment? Eckhart Tolle often spoke of presence as the gateway to deeper understanding. Was Elena's newfound clarity a result of finally being present in her own life? Elena couldn't deny the shift she had experienced. The snake plant, once merely a piece of decor, had become a living symbol of her journey. It was a reminder of her willingness to let go of old patterns and embrace new possibilities. This is just the beginning, she thought, feeling a quiet sense of anticipation. And for the first time in a long while, Elena felt ready to embrace whatever came next. Elena's initial success after moving the snake plant made her feel hopeful. Yet she sensed there was more to this journey. Was the plant just a starting point? Deepak Chopra often said, "Transformation begins when you embrace what lies beneath the surface." Could her external changes merely be scratching that surface? The thought both intrigued and unsettled her. What was she holding back within herself, afraid to confront or change? One evening, as Elena journaled in her now cozy meditation corner, she found herself reflecting on her deeper intentions. Had her goals been too vague? Her aspirations too shallow? Samuel's teachings about aligning external actions with internal clarity echoed in her mind. If you're not clear on your desires, he had once told her, then the universe can't be clear on its responses. His words struck her now like a revelation. What did she truly want to align her life with? Seeking guidance, Elena invited Jade over for an evening of reflection. As they sat in silence, the candlelight flickering between them, Elena shared her thoughts. "I've been so focused on changing my space, but what if the real change needs to happen within me?" Jade listened thoughtfully before responding. "Maybe your space was just showing you what was already there," she suggested. Her words seemed almost like an invitation for Elena to explore deeper layers of her journey. "How do I know if I'm really aligning with my true desires?" Elena asked, her voice filled with doubt. Jade leaned forward, her eyes soft with empathy. "You listen to your intuition," she replied. "You create space in your mind as well as in your home, and when the external noise quiets, your true intents become clearer." Jade's advice resonated deeply. Could it be that Elena's attempts to clear her home were, in reality, an effort to clear her mind? The next day, Elena decided to return to her meditation practice with renewed focus. She closed her eyes, breathing deeply, and visualized her intentions as threads of light weaving through her home and mind. Gabrielle Bernstein often spoke about the power of setting intentions with clarity and courage. "I intend to let go of old patterns," Elena whispered, feeling the weight of her words. "I intend to create space for new possibilities." Over the following weeks, Elena noticed subtle changes in her thoughts and emotions. She felt more in tune with her surroundings, more open to inspiration and creativity. Yet, there were moments of doubt, brief flashes of fear and hesitation that reminded her of her old resistance. Eckhart Tolle often taught that resistance is an unconscious response to change. Was Elena's journey only beginning now, as she began to confront the roots of her fears? One evening, while tending to the snake plant, Elena felt a sudden wave of realization. The plant had grown stronger in its new position, its leaves taller and more vibrant. Could it be mirroring her own inner growth? "I've been focused on realigning my space, but I needed to realign myself," she whispered, almost to the plant. Samuel's words came back to her. Physical changes are only the first step. True alignment is a journey of the spirit. Elena's heart swelled with gratitude and humility. She had started this journey by moving a plant, but it had led her to confront deeper truths about herself. The snake plant had become a symbol not just of resilience, but of transformation, a reminder that true abundance comes from inner clarity. And as she gazed at the plant, she felt a quiet certainty that her journey was far from over. Elena's home had become a reflection of her journey, a sanctuary where her intentions and reality coexisted in harmony. Each morning, she spent time in her meditation corner, feeling the energy of the room and setting clear intentions for the day. Gabrielle Bernstein often emphasized the importance of creating sacred spaces. Was this what she meant? For the first time in months, Elena felt fully connected to her surroundings, as if her home were an extension of her inner self. The snake plant, once a source of doubt, now stood proudly in her meditation corner. It was no longer just a piece of decor, it had become a symbol of Elena's growth and resilience. Each morning, as she watered it, she whispered a silent affirmation: "I am creating space for abundance." The act felt almost ritualistic, a daily reminder of her journey. Deepak Chopra often spoke of rituals as anchors for transformation. Could this simple act be her anchor? One afternoon, Samuel stopped by to visit. He stood quietly, taking in the changes with a contemplative smile. "Your home feels different," he remarked. "There's a sense of flow here." Elena felt a surge of pride and gratitude. "It's taken a lot of small shifts," she replied. Samuel nodded thoughtfully. "Small shifts create big transformations," he said. "But remember, true alignment isn't a destination, it's a practice." His words lingered, a gentle reminder to stay present on her journey. Jade visited the following week, curious to see Elena's progress. As they walked through each room, Jade seemed almost reverent. "You've really created a sanctuary," she said, her voice filled with admiration. Elena smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "It's not just about the space," she replied. "It's about aligning my life with my intentions." Jade nodded, understanding. "That's the real transformation," she said softly. Her words resonated like an affirmation of everything Elena had worked for. As the days passed, Elena noticed a continuous flow of creativity, inspiration, and opportunities. Her work flourished, and her relationships deepened. It was as if the invisible walls that once held her back had dissolved. Eckhart Tolle often taught that true abundance comes from aligning with the present moment. Could this be the secret she had been seeking all along? This deep alignment between her intentions and her reality? One evening, as Elena sat quietly in her meditation corner, she reflected on her journey. The snake plant, now tall and vibrant, seemed almost like a silent companion, standing as a testament to her resilience. "Thank you for guiding me," she whispered, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She had started this journey seeking external changes, but it had led her to an internal transformation, a deeper connection with herself and her surroundings. Elena's journey wasn't about moving a plant. It was about moving her perspective, shifting her focus from external obstacles to internal alignment. Her home had become a sanctuary, not because of the objects within it, but because of the intention behind them. And as she continued to nurture her space, she felt confident that abundance would continue to flow. This wasn't the end of her journey, it was just the beginning. As she closed her eyes, Elena felt a deep sense of peace. Her home was no longer just a place to live, it was a reflection of her spirit, a mirror of her intentions. "I am exactly where I need to be," she thought, feeling a quiet certainty. And in that moment, she knew that she had found not just a place of abundance, but a place of alignment.